Thank you for joining Tech Talks Live with us today. I have a couple of slides to go over. First of all, we want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors. Today we have folks from RingCentral and Newline. So if you wouldn't mind, Jessica, Mike, we want to say a quick hello and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for sharing some time with us today. And thank you, Corporate Data and Voice Services, for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Landry. I'm the Enterprise Solutions Engineer for RingCentral, supporting corporate data and voice and others in the New England and upstate New York area.
Excellent, excellent. And Denise, Ellen, would you like to say a couple of words, introduce yourselves?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Denise Glatzoffer. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for the Northeast. So thank you, Corporate Data and Voice. We're happy to be here and learn a little bit more about Newline.
Hi, everyone. This is Ellen Connor. I am the Regional Sales Manager for the Midwest. I'm going to help do a little presentation for you in a little bit here, and thank you for having us. Excellent.
Thank you all. And we have a few people in attendance from Corporate Data. So I'll let, after me, I'm Joe Spampanato, President here. And I'll let folks say hello. Manny, if you want to say good morning.
Good morning. Manny Spampanato, Vice President of Operations here. Welcome.
Right. Kelly.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending, and I hope you enjoy the session today.
Excellent. Rachel.
Good morning, everyone. Rachel Neary, Client Specialist. Thanks for joining us.
Excellent. And we have Pete.
Morning, guys. Pete Lancarge down in Rhode Island, Client Specialist with Corporate Data and Voice Solutions. And thank you guys for joining us.
And we also have our Christy online here.
Christy may be on that other call.
Oh, that's right. She had to jump to another call. Well, she'll join us in a few when she can jump off that call. So our agenda today, we just kicked off at a little past 11. I have a few more, couple more slides. That's it. Then we're going to turn it over to Newline for 30 minutes or so, and then followed up with RingCentral. After that, we'll do some final Q&A and some raffles. So a few housekeeping items. Please, if you're not presenting, please mute your microphone as well as your video during the presentations. And if you have forgotten, we all from time to time do forget, we will mute those for you. We are recording this session, so we will be sending the recording link out afterwards, and for you to review or pass that along to your fellow workers. Each attendee that is present at the end will receive a Grubhub or Uber Eats gift card. We do encourage questions during the presentation, so we do ask you to chat your questions in, and we'll make sure we, when appropriate, interrupt the presenter to ask those questions on your behalf. And we may ask you to unmute your microphone if we're unsure of the question, so we make sure that we properly answer those questions. We will open it up for more questions at the end. So if you do forget or don't get a chance to ask your question, we will open it up at the end for questions. Each qualifying question asked will receive an additional chance to win a raffle prize. So the more great questions, the better the session becomes, and more chances to win one of those raffles. And names will be drawn at the end for 2 raffle $50 e-gift cards. And you do need to be present to win, and you can only win once. So for the folks that you don't know Corporate Data and Voice, or CDVS as we go by, we focus on what's important to the customer. It's not about us. It's about you, the customer. We definitely take a consultative approach to help customers improve communications. Right, that's our forte in life. We do a lot of different things, but really what we've been focusing definitely this year is helping organizations communicate better. And that's whether it's internal or meaning, from employee to employee or from employee to customer or client or vendor, right? So external to your customer. So we had a very nice year last year, even though it was a crazy year in 2020. But we had a great year helping over 30 new corporations change the way they communicate with either their employees internally or externally to their customers and vendors. We do act as an extension of your team if you choose to do business with us, right? So, we can help you with that one project or other projects that come along, or we can be a trusted advisor. Many times we get involved, or at least are asked questions about things that just don't pertain to the initial project that we help with. And we're here for the long haul. We definitely assist with project planning, implementation. Again, we're an ongoing resource. We definitely have an extremely high customer retention rate, and we're very proud of that. We're passionate about what we do, and the basis of how we do business is 3 pillars: honest integrity, and accountability. So pretty simple formula, but it's been doing well for us for over 18 years now. We definitely want to be a partner, not just a vendor, right? We want to be a trusted advisor, if you will. And we usually follow up with a thank you for attending and a little funny snippet here, as you can read. So again, my job here is really to do a quick introduction and turn it over to our folks over at Newline. So I'm going to stop sharing. And all right, Newline,
All right, Ellen's going to go ahead and share her screen so that you guys can channel as well.
1 second here. All right, hopefully I'm sharing.
Perfect.
Yeah, good.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. If you're not familiar with Newline Interactive, we are a touchscreen manufacturer. So Ellen is so kind to the office today. She's in our Dallas headquarters so that she could actually show you one of our panels in action. If we just want to go ahead and get started, we've just got a couple of quick slides here so you guys can learn a little bit more about us. So as I said, we are a touchscreen manufacturer, and all of our panels are extremely easy to use because they're 100% non-proprietary. So they're going to work with any platform, any UC solution that you have, any accessories that you have. Again, they take no special drivers, no special softwares. They're just non-proprietary, through and through. So that's one of the reasons that makes us a little bit unique is that, if you're able to use your computer, you're able to use one of our panels. And if you want to go to the next slide. So a couple of things I want to point out to you, another reason that makes Newline a little bit different than a lot of the competition out there is that we actually manufacture these ourselves. We're based in Dallas, Texas, so our tech support is also out of Dallas, Texas as well. We have warehouses in, obviously, Texas, but we also have New Jersey and California, so we can be anywhere in the U.S. in 3 to 5 days. So for you guys up in Boston, the majority, if you were ever to purchase the Newline panel, it's going to come from the New Jersey warehouse, so it'll be there in about 2 to 3 days. And then we always have panels in stock because we're able to control the manufacturing process on these. So we're able to make updates, extremely good support, and just have the product ready to go for you guys. All right, moving on. So we have a full line of different series of panels for you guys. What Ellen's on right now is our RS series, which I will show you in just a second here, but what I want to talk to you guys a little bit about first is our X series. Actually, Corporate Data and Voice has one in their office if you guys are ever interested in seeing it in person. But this is going to be our fully integrated solution. So this panel has integrated cameras, speakers, and microphones. It also comes with your OPS computer in it. And so that way, literally, when you get it and you install it, you're ready to go. So whether you're using RingCentral as your preferred solution for UC, or Zoom or Teams or whatever one you guys are aligned with, it's all going to work with it. You download it right onto the computer that you're using, which in this case most likely would be the OPS, and it's ready to go just like you would do on your desktop. So very, very simple. All of our panels are going to be at 4K, and they have 20 points of touch. This one is actually using an in-glass touch solution, so it's going to be very, very accurate and very fast with the touch on that. Another thing I want to point out is that our panels have is what's called object recognition. And as you can see, we're just in a regular PowerPoint right now with Ellen, but these panels are able to pick up if you're using a stylus, so it'll automatically be able to write. If you use your fist, it'll automatically know that you're trying to erase something. And then to change slides, you'd just be able to do it with your finger. So it's able to pick that up, just so it's very intuitive in that way. And that will work inside of any Microsoft solution. So whether it's PowerPoint or Excel, any of those, all the object recognition will work inside of there as well. The next panel that I want to talk about with you guys a little bit is our IP series. This is for anybody that needs a secure, just think security in mind. So if you're an enterprise solution and you never want a panel to go on your network, well, this is just a touch screen in that way, where it's going to be a capacitive touch screen. It'll have an OPS slot for it, but the only thing that ever touches your network is going to be the computer that you're using with the panel. So it's a little bit different in that way. It does have built-in speakers, but it's not going to have the integrated cameras and microphones in there. Next slide, please. Now we have the RS series, and this is, I don't want to ever call it an entry-level panel with us, but this is going to be our most economically priced panel that we have. This is actually the panel that you're seeing Ellen work on right now. It comes in any sizes from a 65-inch all the way up to a 98-inch. Our other panels, I forgot to mention this, come in a 65, 75, and 86-inch. So a good array of options for you. Again, this one is a really great panel because it has great firmware on it too. It has the built-in whiteboard. It has built-in casting and broadcasting as well. Again, it's a 4K panel. It does have an OPS slot in it if you wanted to add the computer as well. 20 points of touch, just a really robust all-around simple touch screen. And then we also make it non-touch panels. So we have our NT series that's going to come in a 65, 85, and 98-inch. And these are just if you want a conference room display. It's a 4K display that's very economically priced. So depending on what your conference room solutions are, what projects that you guys have, we have something that would kind of fit the needs for any conference room that's going to be out there. And we'll move on to the next slide. This is our newest product that we just released. The announcement came out I think, December, and these should be in stock within the next week. This is really exciting for us. It's the Newline Flex, and this is going to be a desktop collaboration display. So it's a 27-inch touchscreen. It has a built-in mic array. It has a 4K camera, and the camera will actually tilt and move on the top of it so that you can put it in a position that's right for your room. And then the touchscreen just hooks up to your computer, and it's going to have the active touch that goes from your computer to the screen itself. It's a USB-C, and it will actually charge through the USB-C. So if you wanted to clear your desk of all the clutter and all the cords, you really only need that one cord. And then the pen itself, it has the Microsoft, what am I trying to say, Ellen? The Microsoft, I'm sorry, it has the built-in, so you're going to have the object recognition and everything else that we have, just like on our regular panels themselves. Does anyone have any questions about the panels? Because I know it's going a little bit fast, so I was trying to do more of a general level overview on these.
We do have a question here from Mike. Would the panel be able to integrate with a room booking tool like Robin to display on the unit information on room availability? Yeah,
so your room scheduling, that's going to be like a software tool that you would actually integrate right into the computer that you're using with it. So if you're using the OPS, you would just put the scheduling software on the OPS that way. And I'm not as familiar with Robin. I've worked with like Joan and some of the other ones out there, but it's all kind of a similar thing where it's a network cloud-based solution that you're scheduling from. So yeah, I mean, again, these panels, all of our products are completely non-proprietary, so they'll work with anything that you have. You know, you can put them into any existing ecosystem, existing room even too, and work with all of the, if you already have maybe microphones and speakers, you know, set up in the room, you can just simply add those right to the panels.
Okay.
Next.
And I had a question, and you may have already said it. So the OPS, right? So if you, for the folks that don't know that acronym, if you could explain what that is.
So the OPS, the acronym just stands for Open Pluggable Specification, and all that means is a small form factor. And for us, we use an OPS computer. So what we're adding into the display itself is a full Windows 10 Pro computer. Yep, there it goes. Ellen has one right there. This is going to be the exact same thing as, like, say, your laptop or a desktop computer if you have a full Windows Pro solution. And this just allows the panel to be fully integrated in that way so that you don't have to bring in a laptop or a desktop. You have it all right there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions on the panels?
I think that's it for now.
Okay, perfect. I just want to point out too, we also have cameras. So we have our Tango camera, which is just a 1080p camera that can mount on the top of the display, very economically priced. And then if you want something that's a little bit more robust, we do have a 4K camera that has an actual, the microphone on this one is more of like a puck that you can move around the room. So 2 different options there. And then we can move on.
We do have another question. Sorry. Does it support Airplay?
So yes, it does. As far as the Apple, actually, I was going to get into the screen sharing right now. I saw that pop up for just a second there. So our panels come with some free softwares that are, you know, they come with every single panel. For the IP series, because it doesn't have an operating system on it per se, we would actually give you a license for it to go on your computer. But just to get into that, it has Newline Broadcast, which is, I essentially am able to broadcast out everything that's on the display to your device. So say you're in a situation where it's a larger room, maybe it's an auditorium, and you know, obviously that might be too far away to be able to see the screen. So you want to broadcast that out so everyone can follow along on their phone or tablets. That's where that would work. Newline Cast is kind of what we were talking before with the Miracast and the Airplay. This is being able to wirelessly share from your device to the screen. So our solution is a cloud-based solution, and I can actually have Ellen demonstrate it here in a second, but you do not have to be on the same network because it is cloud-based. So we use a company, it's called DisplayNote, if you're familiar with their software at all. And it'll give you a 6-digit code. You put that code in, and then you're able to share from your device to the display itself on a secure connection. And this actually can go into grid mode. It has moderator mode in there, so it is a little bit more robust. And again, this is a free software that comes with the display. And then the only paid software that we have is our launch control software. And this one is going to put the display into kiosk mode. So if you ever have to have a situation where you want to have it locked down so that a user can only use certain programs, say PowerPoint, Ringcentral, you know, Zoom, whatever it is, Excel, this software will allow you to do that. Then a user would just simply walk in the room, scan a QR code off of their phone, and it will pull all of their credentials through. And this is the only one that would have a subscription fee to it. And then our RS series has the Newline display management on it so that you can centrally manage the displays. You can push out notifications to them, see how many hours they've been on, that kind of thing with the display management software. And then Ellen, can we demonstrate the cast real fast? Just so they can see how it works.
Hey, Denise, there was a question about, does the panel need to be on the same, did we cover that? I'm sorry, on the same network?
Yeah, so for the casting, no, it does not. So we're going to show that right now. So Ellen's going to start the cast. She goes into the home screen on the panel, and then she just clicks on the screen sharing tool, which is our Newline Cast. No, you cannot remotely change it into kiosk mode. That software just, it sits on the display itself. So for the casting, then you would go to the displaynote.com and you would add your session ID, and then you're able to share from your phone or device to the panel itself.
So I'm doing that right now. You'll see I'm using just my phone. I'm using the app. So my name will pop up here. I can just select on it and invite the device to present. From the device itself, I do get a pop-up that says someone has asked me to share my screen. So everyone has kind of a second to make sure they're sharing the correct content, and then I can present that onto the panel. Now, from a Windows device, I can't remember if Denise mentioned this or not, from a Windows device, you will have touchback. So you could leave your Windows device on the desk and walk up to the panel and actually touch and interact with it without any cables there.
Oh, great.
I did not mention that.
Denise, did you see that last question from Kevin? Maybe you're going to cover it, but can it display digital signage content?
So you could. You would just have to have a media player that you have it hooked up to. So you could either use a program on your computer to have it set like almost like a screensaver, or there's bright sign players out there. It just depends on how you want to display the content. But sure, you could definitely do that. And then what inputs does this screen have? So it has 3 HDMI. It depends on the display itself, but 3 HDMI on the back side and 1 on the front. To hook up to the Touch 2, you have to have the HDMI and the USB if you're going to be using an exterior computer outside of the OPS. And then the OPS will have the HDMI out on it as well.
Great.
So if you wanted to use a cable box, I'm just reading this. I mean, I put a Fire Stick on mine all the time, and that's just an HDMI. It's not going to have your traditional like coaxial cable, if that's what you're thinking. You'd have to be something that's via HDMI. Okay. All right. So a couple of other things with Newline that I just want to point out to you guys. Our warranty service on these panels. If it is anything that is corporate, it's going to be a 3-year advanced replacement warranty. So if something during those first 3 years ever happens with the panel, we'll ship you a new one, and you simply just ship us the one that's damaged in the same box that the new one comes in back to us. We pay the freight both ways on that. And if it's an education customer, that's even better because it's a 5-year warranty. All of our software licenses, again, are perpetual. So it's a free software with the cast and the broadcast and the display management. The only one that would ever have a fee to it is the launch control. We always include shipping for free with all of our panels, so you never have to worry about that. Tech support and our knowledge base. Again, you're coming out of Dallas, Texas. You're going to get a live person to talk to. They're really, really good. Typically, they have a 24-hour turnaround time to resolve most issues. So, you get a lot of really good just support from us. Next slide, please. And then training. One thing I really want to point out, because it really does help differentiate us versus some of the competitive models out there, is that we offer you guys free training. So if you are to ever purchase a panel with Newline, just know that you'll be supported. You can sign up for, right now everything's web-based, obviously, because of COVID, but as many training sessions as you guys need. We'll walk you through, show you how to use the panel, different tips and tricks for that. And then we also have online certifications as well that you can take. I think right now those are just on the RS series. And then we typically have a few monthly webinars through our corporate office as well, just to keep everybody up to speed on all of our new products. These are just some of the customers we've worked with in the past. I just want to show that, we work with every single vertical out there. So it doesn't matter if you're not education or, strictly a corporate environment, because we're not proprietary, we can kind of work with anyone and find a solution for you. And then I also want to talk about the fact that because of the non-proprietary notion of our partners, we work with everybody. So, we're Intel certified, we are Crestron certified, Zoom certified, we work with Microsoft, we work with, Ringcentral, T1V, everyone out there, we play all in the same field together nicely. And then I think that's pretty much it, except for if you guys have any questions for us.
Yeah, I did have another question, and it came in privately, so I'll ask it here. Do the camera cameras need the displays to work, or are they separate?
So the cameras that, yes and no. The only one that is integrated in the display is going to be on the X series. So those, are only going to work with that display. How do I say that correctly? But if you use an exterior camera, like we have some bundles that we do where we use a Logitech Meetup camera, and those work just fine with the displays as well. So it could work with just your computer too, though, if you didn't have a display. So yes and no. Again, it's an accessory, so it'll work with the display regardless of our panel or not, except for the X series because those are integrated.
Yep, no, that makes sense. I think that covers it. Let's see. Any other questions for the folks at Newline for now? Oh, it looks like that covers it. So yeah,
right.
Denise, you'll be on, or Ellen, either one of them. You're going to be staying on for the session. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
I'll be staying on. And then if anyone does think of any questions in the future or wants to see a live demo of a specific panel, just contact CDVS and we'd be happy to set that up for you guys.
Great, and I can attest. We have the X series here. It's the X6. It's actually right next to me in my office, which it's a very nice panel. But what's great about that panel is everything's included. Right, the computer's built in. There's, I believe, there's 4 microphones, Denise, 2 different cameras, speakers. Everything's built into the panel.
Mm-hmm.
So
fully integrated.
Yeah, everything's integrated. So the only thing we do is plug it into the wall for power. So there's very little user interaction, meaning people can't go behind and start unplugging things, which we typically find in conference rooms, right? People tend to unplug things and plug their computers in. There's no need for this panel. It's on and everything's integrated, which is awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. So we're going to turn it over to the folks at Ringcentral.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Let me share my screen. Hopefully you're seeing my presentation and my video on the bottom right.
Yep, looks good.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So thanks everyone for joining today. I appreciate it. I'm going to cover a topic that is not new for a lot of people, so I thought I'd be a little tongue-in-cheek with my presentation today. I'm going to talk about the last year as well as the year moving forward and how Ringcentral and corporate data and voice can support you in your ongoing business requirements. So I've seen this mentioned in a number of presentations over the past 12 months, and I'm sure everyone's saying, wow, Mike, that's very, very insightful of you. The workplace has changed. We've just been through going on 11 months of a global pandemic, and we've had to change our business operations and modify exactly how we do business and what services we're providing to our employees and our customers. And we get that, but now we're moving into a new era or a new phase of this where we're going to slowly transition over time into a new work mode. And so right now, based on statistics, we have roughly 30+% of our US workforce is working from home versus 12% pre-COVID. And we've seen a number of benefits for those customers or those organizations that have been able to pivot. There's obviously a reduced company overhead, right? There's not as many people working in offices. Expenses for travel have basically dropped to zero. There is increased job satisfaction for many employees. So, as a person working from home and not traveling on the road, I'm able to have a better work-life balance in a lot of cases. There can be lower stress levels. Obviously, that wasn't the case early on in the March timeframe. But as people adjusted and understood how to work in this new work from home environment, that has certainly helped. And there's an obvious productivity boost for a person like myself who was typically traveling, 3 to 4 days a week for customer meetings to visit people in person. I'm now much more productive. I'm able to interact with many more people over time throughout the course of the day than I ever was able to before. So where does that fit with where we are today and where we see ourselves going in the next 12 months? Well, there's obviously going to be a shift around people moving back into office environments, but I feel, and a number of folks feel, that there will be a pivot to how we do business, and there will be some number of employees that will remain working from home, and others that will move into some days in the office, others outside of the office. And the struggle for companies is going to be, how do I provide a consistent experience for my employees for interaction, as well as how do I provide a consistent experience for my customers, right? So how do I make sure I have the tools in place that provide a full communication suite that's going to be robust, highly secure, but very interactive for my employees? So as you can see from my video, this is one of the things that Ringcentral has looked at in the last couple of months. This is a feature that's coming out soon called Presenter Mode, where you're able to now see my video within the presentation. So for those employees that are working from home and presenting, this is a good option. For those employees that are presenting in corporate offices to remote people, a Newline touchscreen is a great option for that. So you can mix and match to decide how that's going to fit your environment. I will just reiterate, because I can't see the questions right now, but if there's any questions, Joe, please speak up. Let me know. Happy to pause as we move forward.
Will do.
So what does Ringcentral provide here? And this is what many UCaaS providers will provide to you. We have a full cloud PBX solution. We incorporate messaging and video meetings into that. We have an extremely robust API platform. So we have a number of built-in integrations to third-party applications, but we also have a very robust developer network that's available free of charge. So even if you have customized applications where you want to tie in your messaging, voice, or video services into your existing applications, there's a very good chance that we can support that. And then, of course, we have a number of contact center features, including digital customer service, which we're seeing a very sharp increase in interest in that, where you're able to tie in a true customer contact center environment to things like Facebook Messenger, Apple Messaging, WhatsApp. Any social media interaction is pivoting to actually providing customer services through that versus the standard social media interactions that you see today with companies providing messaging outbound and occasionally receiving some inbound. As I mentioned, we are open to anything. So as you're looking to have a mixed environment of people working from home more traditionally and others working in the office, the key requirement there is, how do I tie all my business applications together? And we can work with you to provide that integration for you. Now, one of the key differentiators for Ringcentral is our service level agreement. So we provide a 5.9 service level agreement, meaning that we provide uptime for your services on a per customer basis of 99.999% of the time. And that's the traditional gold standard for those customers that have on-premise PBXs. You know that that's the redundancy and so on that's built into your platform in order to provide that almost always uptime environment. And that's unique in the industry. The other thing that we do is we provide this uptime on a per customer basis that's written into your contract. So we're not going to say that we'll provide a 5.9 service level agreement of all of Ringcentral. If you have an outage, we're measuring your outage downtime, how it's service impacting, and we have contractual agreements in place to support that. Every customer gets that. So how are we going to deliver these services to you? So as you're looking at, I have home office environments, excuse me. I have office environments. I have maybe locations around the world. We have a very robust architecture in place to support North America and the world that is truly redundant. And we are able to handle calls, video meetings, and messaging through any one of these data centers. We're not homing you back to a common point of failure with a redundant data center in the back end. All of our calls, all of our customer traffic is routing through any one of these data centers around the world, depending on where the user resides. And then, of course, we have a number of enterprise connectivity options for you. So as you're looking to deploy in these various options, these various environments, we can provide direct connect through MPLS, SD-WAN. There are a number of other ways to do so. So you have direct interconnectivity into RingCentral data centers. We also have very robust peering relationships with over 200 internet service providers around the world. What that means is that there are a number of internet service providers that proactively recognize RingCentral traffic and have direct routes set up to RingCentral data centers for you. So even with me working from Southern Maine here in my home office, there's a very good chance that my internet service provider already has a direct connection to a RingCentral data center and is providing that prioritized route for me versus straight over the internet.
Hey, Mike, we do have a question here, if you wouldn't mind. So with messaging, assuming it's SMS and MMS, do you have any bulk options to send out text, or is it only one-to-one?
No, it's both. So we can support one-to-one messaging as well as bulk SMS. I'm working with a large university in upstate New York today around COVID notifications with their students. So they're doing a combination of things. They're doing individual SMS messaging through their Salesforce integration. So they have all their student records within Salesforce. And depending on how that student has, they need to provide timely updates onto their COVID status before they're allowed to come on campus. So there's those individual interactions that they're launching through RingCentral via Salesforce and obviously getting replies. And then, of course, that's automatically being documented within the Salesforce student records so that they can keep track of that stuff. And then secondarily, they're going to move into bulk SMS messaging as well so that they can provide proactive messaging to their campus environment as well as their student population and professor population as well. So yes, we can certainly handle that.
Okay, awesome. And if you wouldn't mind, I know you mentioned it, your video on your slides. So what is that called again, as we're seeing you on your video on your presentation?
So this feature is so new that we're actually in the middle of naming the feature. So I'm calling it presenter mode at the moment, but what it appears to in my Ringcentral app is called weather person mode. So think of that, if I were to point at the screen, I would be able to show different areas. But basically, it's a presenter mode to be released very shortly. You also see that I've got virtual background, so I've got my background blurred. If I turn that off, you'd see my entire camera feed in this view right now. We also do closed captioning, so that's something that we feel is important. It's available as a standard feature within RingCentral Video, so I can turn on closed captioning and get a real-time transcription of everybody speaking. So if I'm having trouble hearing someone, I can always look at that, or if there's sight impaired people hearing impaired people joining that video call, they're able to read the text as we go through.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so the other, where I wanted to start off with from a demo point of view is where I think we really do shine when it comes to the fact that you're going to a cloud environment, and that is our analytics dashboard. So every customer has their own individual analytics dashboard, and this is a step beyond who's making calls and when. The traditional issue with voice over IP or even some UCaaS environments is, I know I had a bad quality experience last Tuesday, but I don't know why that was. And when I ask IT to tell me how or what happened, that can often be very difficult for ITs to identify those things. So in the analytics dashboard, we have a number of areas. The first one is adoption and usage. This is telling me of the people that are in my environment, whether I look at that from a department standpoint or a location standpoint, how many of those folks are actually using all of the feature sets that I have put in front of them. And if I identify a particular location that may not be using messaging as much as I would hope, then how can I proactively encourage that, right? Maybe it's additional training or something of that nature. I can see all of my rooms and devices around the world that are deployed. So these are phone sets or room systems and any ones that are reporting issues that may be offline. Now, what we're looking at right now is RingCentral's 5,000 plus employees around the world as a customer of RingCentral, right? So you're going to see a lot of devices offline because we're constantly adding and removing new devices as we do testing in our environment and so on. And finally, where we really shine, I think, is in the quality of service. So with quality of service, I'm seeing a summary view of whether it's voice calls, or I can change this to video over here. But this is my summary view. What's happening in my environment? Am I meeting my SLAs? Am I getting the quality of service that I expect? So I'm going to expand this to be the last 7 days, so we have a larger sample here. And my quality monitor is on a per call basis, whether it's a RingCentral desktop app, the RingCentral mobile app, the desktop phone, if you will. Any of those devices is reporting quality metrics back to RingCentral during each and every call. And so I can get very granular about what issues may be occurring. So I can see overall of the almost 82,000 calls that have happened in the last 7 days, 97% fell into the good category, meaning that they had a mean opinion score or quality score of 3.8 and above. And that's interesting, but I really want to know about this 1.9% that fall into the poor category as well. But before I drill into that, you see that we're also showing you information about, well, where are these calls occurring? What ISPs are being used. See, we have some number of calls in the Philippines, Denver. You should see Russia in here. Which types of endpoints are being used by my end users? What are the top internet service providers that we're encountering? And then I can filter on this and say, show me everything for Comcast cable, right? What is the quality of the calls that I'm getting across all of my Comcast cable connections? And if I identify an issue there, well, then I can proactively look and see, do I need to reconsider that internet service provider in these locations as well? And then you're seeing the call volume versus the quality over time. Now, this is showing in Pacific Standard Time, where our corporate headquarters is. So you're seeing in those off hours, I know that these are areas where we have folks working overseas that may not have direct connections or great internet connections into RingCentral, and those when I'm seeing those quality dips. But I can drill in here and look at this and see specifically, well, now I'm seeing all of the calls that fall into that poor category of below 3.5. And if I pick one here, let me just choose one with a little bit of time on it, a few minutes with a couple of users, 37 seconds, not so great. Let me see here. Okay, here's one for a little 3.5 minutes. And I see 2 individuals in here. If I expand this, now I'm getting the call quality of that call on an individual user basis. So these are the 2 participants in that call. By the way, this is all anonymous data. So we've anonymized the names of everybody that's involved in here so we can show this information. But I can see that Cameron had the poor quality, and the direction of the poor quality was actually from the Ringcentral data center server down to the clients. Well, what type of client were they using? They were using the Ringcentral mobile app on a Samsung device. They're located in the Philippines, and they were using a Wi-Fi network over Sky Cable. And then I could see the specific issue being that there was pretty significant packet loss on the downstream from the internet service provider. So I can get very specific with the end user, what they were experiencing, make recommendations perhaps, or monitor on an ongoing basis to see if there's a trend that we need to address over time, whether it's the internet service provider, the device they're using. I've seen cases where people, on a US cellular mobile device in downtown Manhattan, not the greatest experience. We would recommend that they switch to cellular voice in those situations for those calls instead of cellular data. So there's any number of things that we can look at there. Now let's take a look.
While you have a pause there, Jeff had asked a question a bit ago, so I just want to make sure. Actually, as a statement and a question. So, love the presenter mode. Can you move it around as you present?
I can.
Or how does that work?
I can. Yeah. So, and again, this is early time frame, but I can move myself around. I can actually move myself off the screen, and we're going to make these controls more tighter as well. So it's easier for me to access as the presenter. I can also change the relative size of my video feed. So I can make myself smaller. What I practice, or what I try to do, is build my presentation such that I can be fixed in one place and not block content. That's the worst thing I can do. And it becomes very distracting if I do so.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So, so this is the Ringcentral app. This is on my desktop. So when it comes to how am I supplying these tools to my end users, you can look at desktop apps, whether it's a Mac OS or a Windows device. And I have to apologize if you keep seeing that vulnerability. I recently updated my operating system, and now my corporate Symantec is going crazy about some application, so it keeps popping up. So when I have my desktop app, I can use it in a browser mode, or I can even use it in a mobile device. So let me bring my mobile device over here so you can see that as well. And I'll just it's going to look a little busy, but just kind of put the two side by side, and then I can pop into Ringcentral. All of my interactions are fully synced. Now, with these options, whether it's browser, desktop, or mobile, now my end users can move interchangeably between locations, right? They may have a corporate PC or a laptop that stays in the office, and they can use their mobile device, or they can spark up their home computer and open a browser and log into Ringcentral. We will honor that your security measures, so everything is fully encrypted. If you want to use single sign-on for those individuals, we will enforce that regardless of what type of device they use. All of our messaging, our voice and video calls are completely encrypted, whether in transit or any content that we store, all of it's encrypted. We also do data residency for those customers that are concerned with data storage. You may even have some remote locations. Your German office has specific requirements. I'm going to move this away very shortly because it keeps going to sleep on me here. But what I did want to highlight, one of the things you notice that one of the things that we do, whether it's a voice call or even a video call, you notice that the system is recognizing that I'm actively in a video meeting, and it's offering for me to switch that automatically to my mobile device. So I've used this feature in the past. It does not interrupt the meeting. I don't have to drop and rejoin on a different device. I can actually switch interactively through the device automatically, which I'm a big morning Starbucks guy. So you'll typically find me sitting in the drive-thru at 8:30 in the morning. I'll join a meeting, and then as I walk back into my home office, I'll just automatically switch the meeting directly to my desktop, pop on my camera, and away I go. Now, of course, many providers are providing you with the ability to do messaging, ability to do voice, ability to do video. I think where RingCentral really is striving to, and where we're going with our implementation of this is that we feel that these are, for the most part, a lot of individual interactions. And what I mean by that is if I make a voice call, it's a moment in time. If I have a meeting, that's a moment in time of my workday. It may have some folks with corporate data and voice and other RingCentral participants that are joining it, but when that meeting ends, everything about it has pretty much finished, right? I may have a call recording of it. I may have shared some content. There may have been some action items that were discussed. So how can we provide you with the ability to tie that into a tighter integration into your everyday workflow? Well, what we do is, you notice that we have 3 categories here. We have messaging, we have video, and then we have phone. But if I'm in the messaging platform here, and I'm just going to turn it off, so I'm just seeing my unread because I get a lot of messages here. Let's just pick, so here, I'm in a team, I'm chatting. You see I've got, I may have files shared, I have some links shared. These are all the members of that team. When I look in video, at my video meetings that are scheduled, you notice the one thing that pops up is a connect. What this is asking me is do I want to associate this meeting with a specific team within my environment? And if I do so, then any content that I share within this environment will automatically be touched into that team. So even if folks that weren't able to attend, any documents we shared, any action items that may have been made, even the call recording will migrate over to that team environment for me automatically. When I'm in a team environment, let's say that we're, this team of 31 folks, they're talking about a roadmap discussion. I want to schedule a meeting for next Tuesday so that we can have a conversation about our action items or whatever. You see, I have a video tab here, and I can start an instant video call with everybody within this meeting. But more interesting to me is the ability to schedule a meeting directly with this team. What that tells me is I already know who the participants are in this meeting, right? These are the folks that are part of this project, part of this department. So let me schedule a video meeting, and RingCentral will automatically add those as members into that meeting introduction for you. Any questions on that?
Nope, we're good so far.
All right. So finally, when it comes to meeting schedules as well, we've added a number of different security measures. As you can imagine, with the way COVID has gone, there's obviously been some best practices that have been implemented, and we've implemented those as well. So by default, you'll see, and I can set this on an administrative level as well if I want to, for example, force everyone to join with a muted audio. I can set that as an administrative level setting. We're always going to require a password. We do what's called host mode, where participants can only join after the host is joined, or I can enable a waiting room for that. Another cool feature, for those of you that may have interacted in a Microsoft Teams environment, is authentication. So if I know that these are internal folks that are joining a call, or it's folks that are using the RingCentral app, even if this meeting is shared with somebody outside my organization, I can make it so that they have to be an authenticated user within the RingCentral environment, or they're not allowed to join the meeting. So many times, if it's an internal meeting, I'll just set it to signed-in coworkers so that only people within my organization are allowed to join. I see a couple of questions have popped up, so I'll pause there.
Yep, great. So a couple of questions, both unrelated to each other. How do you handle E911?
Great question. Thank you for reminding me of that. So as you're moving through, let's say I'm an end user. I'm primarily using the RingCentral desktop as my primary telephony endpoint, my video, my messaging, and so on. When I'm in a work office environment, the RingCentral app on my desktop will recognize the network that I'm on, and the user will be prompted to enter a 911 address. Now, as an administrator, I'm also providing a default 911 address for that individual. If an address is provided that is made up, it's not valid because we're validating all of this against national PSAP databases, right? We are a service provider. We're providing those services, so it's incumbent upon us to make sure it's accurate. If that address doesn't match, we're going to reprompt or make sure that we're telling you this is not a valid address. We will block 911 calls from the device if we can't get a validated 911 address. If we do get a validated 911 address, then that's your 911 address for the desktop app while you're in that network. If I then take my laptop and I go home for the day, if it's the first time I've then joined into that other network, and we're going to look at both the Wi-Fi network name as well as a little bit of geolocation that's provided from the networking company, we're going to recognize that person has physically moved to a different location. We will reprompt them to enter the new 911 address for that location. So I enter my home address, it remembers that. At that point, as I interact between offices, if it's a known network within RingCentral for that user, we will proactively switch the 911 address based on their location. For mobile devices, it's much easier because they all have built-in GPS, so we use the GPS location information for that. For physical handsets, we will make sure there's a 911 address programmed into it. But we also have a feature called Nomadic 911 that customers can use where they can get very granular and specific about VLAN IDs, wireless access point names, or MAC addresses, any number of ways, IP address ranges, so that you can proactively define specific locations based on building, floor number, northwest, northeast, whatever you feel is necessary. So as an end user, let's say I was working on the 4th floor, I got a promotion that brought me up to the 5th floor. I move my phone and plug it from the wall. I plug it into my new office. The network takes care of updating that 911 information. So if I do call 911 from my desk phone, or even my app, my RingCentral app, it will have a more specific 911 location associated with it.
Great. So we have another one, Mike. And for the analytics, does it display calls, video calls, messages as separate statistics, or does it combine them for the users?
The adoption and usage is going to be my statistical information, right? So what am I doing? How am I using the environment? The quality of service is going to be actual quality information for voice and video calls, right? So in the video section, I don't have, because this is our corporate environment, they've kept it very stripped down, but what a typical customer will see is the meeting participants, the type of device they're using, the number of times they've connected, and then a quality matrix of their upstream video, their downstream video, their content sharing, their audio. Every one of those is tracked, and you'll get a bar graph of the quality of each individual, and we'll highlight, for example, Jessica's down rate video dropped to 3 frames per second between 11 a.m. and 11:10 a.m. So you can get very specific and concrete about that information, as well as the same thing you saw with the voice, where, well, what are they connected through? Who's the internet service provider? what was the CPU utilization on that device, we can get very specific with that. Hopefully that answers the question.
All right, great. And maybe you're going to cover this, Mike, but let me ask it while we have a break here. So implementation, right? So I had already mentioned, right? We're corporate data and voice. They sign up with us for Ringcentral, and we're vested. We're going to be there along the way to help them transition from whatever they have to Ringcentral.
Yeah.
But what does that deployment service look like at a high level from Ringcentral? Do they build it all themselves? Is it emailing people to get services? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we're a big fan of professional services and doing it right. Obviously, customers can do it themselves, and they have done it themselves, but we generally recommend that you use our professional services team, at least for a few, the first few locations or maybe a number of departments. We view, Joe, I know that you and your team are very capable, but we don't put the reliance on you as the partner to be implementing this and providing that. What we rely on you to be is that overall view, right? The holistic view of all of the factors involved in this. Maybe there's some network improvements that are required. That falls outside of RingCentral's purview, right? Now, as part of our standard implementation process, we're going to do network assessments. There's obviously training. We do as-built diagrams for that. We have a porting team dedicated to every customer. So because we're a service provider, that's part of the implementation process. You'll typically get temporary numbers associated with your account, so we can build the call flows. We can provide training, you can test it, and you can technically go live, right, by forwarding your main numbers and so on over to RingCentral in that interim period, because porting can be, several weeks, depending on where you're located. And then on that port date, our expectation for you is that we provided ample training, everything's configured as expected. Any network issues or concerns have been addressed. We've got everything ready to go. When that port date happens, it's an invisible event to you, right? The number officially transitions over to RingCentral, but we've already been moving calls through this environment for you for days or even weeks at that point. So we have a very full, all of our project managers are PMP certified. You'll have a project manager, you'll have, as I said, a porting team, you'll have an implementation specialist, and it's the project manager's job to interact with you, the customer, and the partner to coordinate all of those activities and make sure that everything remains on track and on schedule.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
Any other questions?
Let's see. I think that is it for now. I think that's what we have.
Great. I think that's everything I wanted to touch on. Obviously, we're more than happy to do a deep dive for anybody that's interested in learning more. And Jessica, I don't know if there's anything else that maybe a point that you wanted to cover as well.
No, I'm good. That was great. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Fantastic. So thank you, Mike. So we'll open it up for any type of any questions that you have for the Newline or RingCentral folks, or for corporate data. If you wouldn't, if you have something, please chat it in. Or at this point, you can unmute and ask your question if you have any. All right. I don't see any, so what we'll do is, to get people back in, to their days, or maybe grab a bite to eat. We're going to do our raffle. So the first raffle will, come to us from Newline. So Denise, do you have a particular raffle item that you're raffling away today?
Not aware of this. We can do a $100 Amazon gift card.
Okay. All right. So the first one, and as you can see, I do have the official fishbowl with everyone's name in there. And you do have to be, as we mentioned, have to be in attendance. So do we have a Kevin Barnes still in attendance?
Woohoo! Thank you.
I say that's a yes, Kevin.
We do.
Still in attendance.
Yay.
All right, fantastic. So you are our, we have many winners on the line here today, but you are our official first winner. How's that? And our second item and raffle item is from RingCentral, of course. So Jess, what are we raffling off today?
Same, $100 gift card.
All right, fantastic. So let's mix these up. And we have Mike Montero.
That's really close, Mike Montero.
Fantastic. Well, Mike, you've had some great questions, so congratulations.
Just to show you that asking the questions does get you more chances in the raffle.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So again, I don't see any more questions. Want to get people back to their days. Again, a big thank you for the folks at Newline. Big thank you for the folks over at RingCentral. Anybody else have any thoughts and closing statements? All right. Well, again, want to get people back to their days. So thank you very much for attending. Big shout out to our vendors and, of course, the corporate data folks to get people at our event. So you have a great day, and we'll see you at hopefully our next one. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.